I watched Bill Hader do an interview with Ari Aster after Eddington came out, and he thought Eddington was this extremely good movie. So you could see the way that Bill Hader was feeling a little sheepish about himself, being like, "Oh, I'm nothing compared to this guy." Um, but if you watch Barry, it won a lot of awards, and there are flashes in the show of something that are like just about as good as anything. Um, there are very, very, very few shows. This Preps might do it better than any of setting up situations that are hilarious but are not played in any way for laughs. And that's almost something that is almost hard to read sometimes because I'm so unaccustomed to it. But this time after time in the show, like the situation of what people are talking about, what's happening to them, is sensational, like incredibly good, and not a single character is acting like it's funny at all. And the other thing this show does very, very well is making it so essentially, with few exceptions, almost every single principal character in the entire 4 seasons are like lamentable, just the worst people ever. Ever. They're terrible. Gene Cousineau, Barry, his girlfriend, Fuchs. At some level, there's sympathy to all of them, and you understand. Even like Hank and I guess Cristobal, especially Hank. There's ways that you're sympathetic toward them, and you get enough explication and elucidation of what their motivations are to understand why they are the way they are. But they're like legitimately like really unlikable, terrible people. And I remember as it got into the third and fourth season, as it takes a particularly dark turn, and they focus less and less on acting, particularly Barry's acting, and more on like his cruel downturn. There are moments where it's a little bit surreal as you see how messed up his character is, where you're like, how did we get here? Like, this is insane. Like, this is like the most loathsome. Bill Hader does a really good job of this. It's like this is the most like loathsome, hateful person you've seen in a while. Like, he's really ill. So the ways that it jumps through a lot of genres to understand the sort of like psychological horror elements of what he. I just got a splinter in my foot from my chair. Of how he gets so messed up and the way he's like messing with people like Gene Cousineau and his girlfriend. Sometimes it's almost surreal, being like, I don't remember, like, how did we get to the point where this kind of aw shucks, essentially Oklahoma guy or whatever he's from, has become this terrible. And there are flashes in the show of something like cinematographically and just in tone that is better than a lot of stuff. There is a lot of moments that are sort of played a little bit too silly, like Fred Armisen's cameo, which is very, very funny. Bill Hader being like, oh, that guy's trying to kill me, like for sure, 100%. That guy's here to kill me. That is really, really funny. But it does feel like sometimes getting into like his military background, moments like the incredible shift in story that happens in the second half of the last season, where the scope of the show gets maybe more epic than they're comfortable with, rotating bands of Chechens. But I do want to say that even if maybe they're unclear, maybe someone like the creator like Bill Hader and Alec Berg is maybe uncertain to like what mixture of like dark and comic they wanted to go for, there are moments that are particularly instructive about where he might have the ability for true greatness. And there is this particular episode in the second season where there is a martial arts wielding father and his little daughter. I think most people know what episode this is, where Bill Hader is tasked with killing them, which is just about as good a episode of television as you can ask for. There is real hilarity to the elemental terror of this little girl and her unstoppable father. There are moments where Fuchs is watching her scale a tree, where the angle of him doing this is something you've just never seen in television before, or you just never see on screen. It is absolutely perfect and hysterical. It's so good. So I really, really wanted to get to the point, essentially, here, where there's a lot of really good stuff here, especially the combination of the funniest situations you could ask for ever being played totally deadpan, and that one episode whereas the germ here of something absolutely amazing. And it is very good. It is definitely a way above average show and better than almost anything out there. And besides some surreal moments of how did this get so dark and why is the tone of the show here, like maybe it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but there is more belly laughs in this television show than any comedy I've seen in a really long time.